You will notice on the slide, session 3 has one category, two categories that are quite large. Okay. We're going to hold for a second so you don't have to listen to this twice. We're going to wait till the YouTube is up and running.
While we're waiting for that, just let me confirm with the whole group that you all see the polling software in front of you. You should see 813X1 in front of you on your screen. Thank you.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is go through, you can see on the slide these areas. I anticipate these may take a little more discussion than yesterday because of the types of codes they are. And today we're going to, if we need to, we will run until close to noon because there will hopefully not be competition with another big meeting. So we will have, it will be less of a rush to get your lunch. So what I'd like to do is go to the first code under other methods of sequencing, and that's item 46, and that is code 813X1. And this was covered by the A subcommittee, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler. While Dr. Bossler is getting his microphone up and running, I want to also double check with the folks on the line. That would be Drs. Chandra and Basowski. Can you please let us know if you are able to answer? Yes? No?
Yes. This is Vicki Basowski. I'm on, but I'm having trouble getting the poll to come up.
All right, so we will have Sarah and her support team figure out why, and then we're going to have Dr. Bossler continue in the meanwhile.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Nakano. So code 813X1, PAL B2, the subcommittee reviewed the recommendations from the specialty societies and came down to the conclusion that we want to recommend 81317. This is for PMS2. PMS2 has 16 exons, and PAL-B2, which is the target of this code, has 14 exons, while the other recommended code, I don't see the number for it, but it was for APC, has 20 exons. So we thought that the most equivalent work and resources here would be to crosswalk to 81317.
Okay, thank you. Doctors Basowski and Chandra, do you have any comments or questions or anything you want to discuss with the rest of your panel members?
No.
All right.
I do not.
All right, thank you. Any questions amongst the panel members here? Any discussion? So we're going to then go to the ballot item, and what we have for 813X1 is to crosswalk it to 81317 or 81201. So your crosswalks are 81317, 81201. All right, we're going to move on to item 47, which is 813X2, and it is also reviewed by subcommittee A, and so I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler.
So this is a family code to the one that we just talked about for PAL-B2 for known familial variant analysis, and so our recommendation was to crosswalk to the 81318 known familial variant for PMS2.
Thank you. are there any questions or comments to discuss from those on the phone for the people here in the room? Hearing none. Any questions from the folks at the table here in central office? Seeing no placards going up, we're going to move to the ballot item slide. So for code 813X2, the recommendations are crosswalks 81318 and 81202. Please submit your votes. So the next item is item 48, and that is 8XX01. And again, this is a code that was reviewed by Subcommittee A, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler.
So there were a couple of different recommendations for this code as well. We ultimately decided that a crosswalk to 81314 made the most sense. So there are 3 exons being targeted in this code for PIK3CA and 2 exons that are targeted for PDGFR alpha, which is the 81314 code. So we thought that was most equivalent with resources and work.
Any questions or comments from those on the phone? Hearing none?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, how about in the room? Any comments, questions? We're going to move on to the ballot item slide. So the crosswalks are 8XX01R, 81314, and 81404 times 2. Moving on to item 49, 0069U. We have another code that is oncology colorectal related, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bossler from Subcommittee A.
So there were no presentations or recommendations for this code. So on our evaluation of it, we were looking for something that would involve expression profiling like this one for a single gene. In this case, it was the microRNA 31.3p, and with an algorithm. So we looked in the MAAAs, and 0005U is an expression analysis that targets 3 genes. And so we thought that it would be appropriate to use 0005U times 0.5 as our crosswalk recommendation.
So do we have any questions, comments from those on the phone regarding the crosswalk of 0005U times 0.50 for code 0069U? Any questions or comments in the room? I have a comment/question for the subcommittee. So if 0005U has 3 targets and the code you're looking at, 0069U, seems to have 1, why the multiplier of 0.50?
So the complication here is that there's an algorithm involved. Both of them have algorithms, but we're not sure how complicated they are, what sort of work is involved there. So this was our best estimate for a fractional component of the other code.
All right, any other comments from the table? Dr. Lyon?
So I'm thinking if they have this RT-PCR expression profiling and they have only 1 target, but there's got to be a control in there somewhere. I don't know how that
That's a good point. There's probably some sort of normalization gene, yeah.
So So Dr. Line, let me make sure I understand. So you're saying that a multiplier of 0.5 is reasonable given the fact that there is the possibility of a controlled gene that has not been mentioned?
Yes, that's what
Okay.
I'm imagining, that it needs to have a control gene in there.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Any comments from the phone? All right, so and no other suggestions for a different multiplier? Okay, great. We're going to the ballot items. So for code 0069U, the crosswalk that has been suggested is 0005U times 0.50. So please submit your votes. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next item, which is item 50, and the code is 0078U. And this is a code that's related to pain management, and the subcommittee that reviewed it was subcommittee B as in boy. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Chandra.
Thank you, Karen. So we discussed this CPT code, and there were no medical society recommendations. There was a recommendation from the owner of the CPT code to crosswalk to 81226, which we felt was reasonable. We also felt that there's another CPT code, 81225, that also represents the resources to provide the test, and so we're recommending two crosswalks, 81226, 81225. A little bit about the CPT code that we're talking about. As you mentioned, it's a pain management code, genotyping panel to look at 16 common variants.
Any questions or comments from Dr. Baselski?
No.
Any questions or comments from those here in the room? Dr. Schoonmaker?
Yeah, just a question. Does anybody know if there's a difference in the complexity of analyzing the variants for CYP2C19 versus 2D6?
Dr. Lyon?
There is some greater complexity for 2D6 on either the deletion or the duplication. There's other complexities because you have a pseudogene or a gene conversion, so there's other things that need to be involved. However, this panel for 81226, it's not getting into the gene conversions, which become really complicated. Obviously, you need to design around the pseudogenes, so there's a little bit of extra complexity. Once those are designed, it's pretty straightforward, though.
Does anybody have a question for the owner of this lab? None? Does anybody have a question from the panel for the owner of this lab? Dr. Clark?
So, given the discussion around 81226 versus 81225, could you comment on why you picked 226 versus 225?
Okay, hold on a second. So so if you want to speak to someone from the audience, please, I know I'm being picky, but please let me know because we have our reasons for...
Sure.
So
I do want to hear that answer
problem.
from the laboratory.
Right. And I need you to state your name and then the name of your laboratory. Thanks, Dr. Clark. You have to turn the mic on.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Kerry Donaldson, I'm the CEO of Autogenomics. So the complexity in between the determination of some of the alleles in our particular test is more similar to the pseudogene, both the duplication, XN, or the lack of a genetic code that's in 2D6. In particular, 5-HT3 receptor, it's a triallelic gene. So you have to be able to go through and compare not only presence or absence of single SNPs, it's length of the polymorphism that we're looking for, so long versus short. So it's more comparable in our opinion. One of the reasons we suggested 226 is because that increased complexity not only of the design, but in the analytic process. And that's why we suggested 226 versus 225. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Any other questions? Any other questions from those on the phone? Dr. Schoonmaker? Okay. So I thank you very much, Mr. Donaldson. Thank you. You can leave that on. Thank you. So having heard none, we're going to move to the ballot. So for 0078U, for crosswalks that have been suggested, they are 81226 and 81225. So please submit your votes. So for those of you on the phone, we're having a few technical difficulties, and okay, got it. So I'm going to, assuming we've got the votes in, done. Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 51 and 0081U/8XX03. So this was a code which has a little bit of a history. They initially had a PLA code and then submitted their test for a Cat1 MA code. So this code, at this point in time, I believe the 0081U has been removed from the PLA list. However, 8XX03 has yet to be reviewed by the AMA CPT editorial panel. So as with yesterday's code where we have, it was suggested not to be reviewed because it will be reviewed by the third quarter AMA CPT editorial panel. Though that decision for what has yet to be made, which is the similar issue for this code. So having said that, the request from CMS, as always, if we are given a code and the code has yet to be determined as to its status because the meeting falls after ours, we would ask that the committee, the FACA panel members, consider it as it is, not what will be, but what it currently is. So having said that, I turn this back over to Dr. Chandra, Subcommittee B, to start off the discussion, and then Dr. Bosler would like to say something immediately. Okay, he wants to say this now, so I'm going to let Dr. Bosler give his comment.
I just have a question about the statuses of this testing with regards to ADLT. Because if it's received ADLT status, it'll get pricing through that, correct?
So at this time, it is my understanding, and we will check on this, that the ADLT status has yet to be determined, but we will check into that. So I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee B. Dr. Chandra.
Thank you, Karen. There were no public comments by medical societies, and we do not feel that there is an existing CPT code suitable for a crosswalk, so we would recommend gap fill.
Do you or Dr. Basowski have questions or comments for your peers here or for the owner of the lab?
No questions.
And
No question.
thank you. Having said that, is Castle Biosciences here? No. So that option is not available. Any questions or comments from the folks here in the room regarding this code? Dr. Bossler.
I have a question for the Subcommittee B, whether there were any other expression analysis codes that they potentially looked at, particularly in the MAAAs.
I reviewed a few of them, Dr. Bossler, but did not feel that any of them were strong enough to recommend a good parallel crosswalk.
Okay, thanks.
There was 0045U for breast cancer, 7 genes plus 5 housekeeping, or 0047U for prostate, 12 plus 5, but that did not include the fine needle aspirate specimen type, only the FFPE.
So that was Dr. Schoonmaker
Schoonmaker,
speaking.
sorry.
And could you repeat those codes, please?
Those codes were 0045U, which was oncology breast cancer mRNA, 7 content and 5 housekeeping genes on FFPE. And then 0047U was oncology prostate mRNA gene expression, 12 content and 5 housekeeping genes on an FFPE specimen. And this code was written to include not only FFPE, but also the FNA, fine needle aspirate.
Dr. Bossler.
0048U hasn't been priced.
47. Did I say
47?
48? Sorry, 45 and 47.
So is it my understanding that you are recommending a crosswalk for the panel to consider of 0045 and 47U? Dr. Schoonmaker.
I guess that's a question for my colleagues. Is there a difference in adding the additional specimen type for fine needle aspirate that would warrant a gap fill versus the FFPE?
Any further comments, discussion? Dr. Lyon?
I guess I've always thought the formalin fixed is going to be the more difficult of the two, although the fine needle is just a low amount. I would say I like your suggestion of 0047U. I think that is a nice fit with it. And, you know, with the caveat that the fine needle aspirate is probably not more difficult than the formalin fixed.
Dr. Schoonmaker?
Can we add 0047U as a possibility?
Dr. Bossler?
I was going to second that.
Dr. Lyon? Okay. 47. 0047. Any other discussion? All right, so we're going to go on to the ballot items for 0081U/8XX03, and the ballot items are gap fill and the added suggestion from the panel of 0047U. Please submit your votes. All right, we're going to... All right, so we're going to move on to item 52, which is zero. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was a little premature. The voting was still going on. So we're going to move on to item 52, which is 0089U. And this was another melanoma oncology test, and it was reviewed by Subcommittee B as in boy. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Chandra.
So this would have a similar discussion, Karen. This is an AMA CPT code to be removed in the future. The options in the interim are to gap fill, and I would ask other committee members to provide any input if they feel that there's a reasonable CPT code to crosswalk 0089U2.
Thank you. Dr. Baselski, any comments, suggestions at the request of Subcommittee B for additional crosswalks?
No.
Thank you. Any suggestions here in the room for this code for additional crosswalks? Dr. Bossler?
So the MAAA 0005U would probably be similar. There's a different specimen collection here, but similar number of targets.
Any comments from those on the phone? Any comments from those here in the room? Would the committee like a few more minutes to look up codes? And the answer is yes. So we're going to hold for about 2 or 3 minutes for people to review. The other option is, actually, as I'm thinking on the fly here, let's do this. We will move, unless you guys have it, I'm thinking to move this to give you time to look at codes. Dr. Bossler.
I've got the code here. I can read it to the committee.
Perfect.
So 0005U is oncology prostate gene expression profile by real-time RT-PCR of 3 genes, ERG, PCA3, and SPDEF. The specimen's urine, and there's an algorithm reported as a risk score.
Any other discussion? Okay, hold on a second. Let me just find the page, and then this way, because so I would go to page 623 in the 2019 AMA CPT manual, and that you will see the code descriptor there. Dr. Bossler, you have something else you'd like to say?
Sorry.
All right. So we have a few members who are still looking things up. All right. So I'm going to move on then to the ballot item slide. And so it should, even though it's blank, it should read gap fill and 0005U. So please cast your votes. All right, so on to item 530090U. This is a cutaneous melanoma code and also reviewed by Subcommittee B as in boy. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Chandra.
Thank you, Karen. On this one, we did have some public comments, and again, for the reasons articulated earlier, we are recommending gap fill. And if there are other CPT codes that the rest of the panel members feel would warrant consideration, we are certainly open to that as well.
Dr. Basalski, do you have any comments?
No.
All right. Any comments here or suggestions, discussion regarding other potential crosswalks for 0090U? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to go to the ballot item slide. And for 0090U, the single item, Dr. Lyon, go ahead.
So sorry, I was looking through this quickly.
Sure.
0045U. Or 0047U. Again, 17 genes with 12 content and 5 housekeeping. So it is a close fit, not quite as good as before, but still pretty similar.
Dr. Schoonmaker?
My question would be, does it matter if the result is reported as a risk score versus a categorical result? Does that make it different enough to warrant gap fill versus a crosswalk, given where the professional societies landed?
Does, do the folks on the phone or here have questions for the owner of the lab? Is Myriad here? Okay, hold on a second. Any questions? Dr. Lyon? Do you have a question for the lab? Okay, can you please approach the mic?
Yeah, 14 content and 9 housekeeping.
And please let us know your name.
My name is Benjamin Roa. I'm a lab director at Myriad Genetics.
Okay, actually, I thought Michelle's question was a good one, and I'd like to hear the response from the laboratory about the difference between categorical and risk.
Yes. So the intended use for this assay is for adjunct ancillary diagnostic purposes for about 15 to 30% of cutaneous melanomas with ambiguous histopathology. So the output is a categorical result for malignant melanoma, indeterminate, or benign nevi. It's not a prognostic assay.
Doctors Lyon and Schoonmaker, any other questions? Anybody else have questions for the lab? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So I'm going to go back to Dr. Schoonmaker's suggestions for 0045U and 0047U. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Schoonmaker, who made the suggestion for 2.
Dr. Lyon.
I'm sorry, Dr. Lyon, I'm sorry. Is there a preference, or do you want to have the committee to continue discussing and or decreasing or adding to your suggestions?
No, I think that answered the question that they are different enough that the 47U would not be the best fit.
And then for 0045U?
Same thing.
So no suggestions for crosswalks, to leave it at gap fill. And I'm seeing nodding, okay? And so we're going to go to the ballot items. So for 0090U, the single items that the panel has discussed and suggests is gap fill, so please submit your votes. Thank you. So we're going to move on to item 54, 815XO. This is an oncology test for breast cancer, and this was reviewed by Subcommittee C. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Clark and his subcommittee.
Okay, thank you. So on these next few, I'll give our consensus and the brief rationale, and then I'll defer to Drs. Lyon and Arcila to give any extra commentary or answer any questions. So for this particular code, our consensus suggestion is a crosswalk to 81518, and that's because the candidate code and 81518 are both done by RT-PCR. They both have a similar number of genes and a housekeeping gene.
Thank you. Any questions from those on the phone? Any suggestions? Hearing none. Any suggestions, discussions, questions from those here in the room? And since we know the lab owner is here from Myriad, do you have questions for that individual? That is Mr. Roa. Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Roa. I'm going to move to the ballot item slide. So we have crosswalks 81519 and 81518 for the code in question of 815XO. All right, so on to item 55, that is 815XX. This is another oncology code. It's for the prostate, and I'm going to turn this back over to Dr. Clark from Subcommittee C.
Okay. So what we have here is the consensus to crosswalk to 81519. Oncology breast, mRNA, gene expression profiling by real-time RT-PCR of 21 genes based on comparable descriptors.
Okay. Anyone on the phone have comments or questions? All right. Here in the room? Okay. I'm going to move to the ballot item slide. So for code 815XX, the single suggestion is crosswalk of 81519, and certainly gap fill is always an option. That was just a member calling in to tell me that they are voting and they're completed. Are we? Okay, thanks. All right, so moving on to item 56. So 56 is 0111U. And this is an oncology code, and it's for colon cancer, and it was reviewed by Subcommittee C, so I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Clark.
Okay. So our proposed crosswalk is the KRAS 81275 plus, which is codons 12 and 13, plus 81276, which is codon 61, and NRAS 81311, which has codons 12, 13, and 61, plus 81276, yes. The rationale being crosswalk has a similar method, amount of work, and code descriptors to 0111U.
Thank you. There, from the same lab, there was a second suggestion of 81445 times 1.5. I just want to add that. So before I go to Dr. Line, are there any questions from the folks on the phone? Okay, so Dr. Lyon, go ahead.
So looking at their presentation, it also looked like they were doing one extra codon region for NRAS.
And so I'm assuming you have a question for the owner of this?
I would have a question for the owner.
Dr. Quinn? So I'm going to turn this over to you, and then Dr. Quinn, and then anybody else who wants to ask a question, please put your placards up.
Hi, my name is Bruce Quinn. I'm a pathologist. I work in policy consulting, and I'm here representing Illumina, the developer of this test.
Okay, so my question is, what is being tested with NRAS? The 81311 includes codons 12, 13, and 61, but from a presentation, I thought that it actually included one more, like position codon 121.
We did. We used graphics in our PowerPoint presentation, and we also submitted a one-page extra submission after the meeting that has the graphics. So the codons that we test in NRAS are 11 and 12 in exon 2, 59 and 61 in exon 3, and then 117 and 146, which are in exon 4. And that exon 4 in NRAS is the one that's not covered by the base CPT code of 81311. So you've got that as a PDF, or I can give you a paper copy of it if you'd like to see it visually.
Any other questions for Dr. Quinn? From the room, from the phone? All right, thank you, Dr. Quinn.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Dr. Bossler?
Yeah. So your alternative proposal was 81445 times 1.5, right?
Yes.
And where do you get the multiplier from?
Because the total amount of DNA and the number of codons tested, we also had seen last year, sometimes people did 4-unit crosswalks as here, and other times they preferred not to walk that many times, and they used 1.5 or 2.5. So we provided that as an option in case the panel turned out to not want to add the 4 codes. And we believe the valuation and resources are the same, reflecting that. But if you're happy with the 4, that's exactly what we coded to and suggested.
Okay, thank you.
So just to clarify, Dr. Quinn, in your comments, it appeared, and I just want to get your confirmation on this, it appeared that the actual breakdown of the codes for KRAS and NRAS is from the lab's perspective, is
Yes.
the more, I want to use the word preferred,
Yes.
of the 2 choices.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. If there are no further questions here or on the phone, okay, Ms. Chappelle?
Just on the slide to vote, 81276 is listed twice in that option.
I just want to confirm, Dr. Quinn, that is accurate, right? The 81276.
Sorry about that.
No, that's perfectly fine. We wrote it this way because it was more clear that it walks you through the ones reflecting KRAS, and then it walks you through the ones reflecting NRAS. But we all know that it's the same as 81276 times 2. But it sort of visual. It's a little complicated, and we use slide graphics, and we tried this because we didn't want the panel to get confused with so many things that you're doing.
Any other questions? Okay. So I'm going to move on then to the ballot items code, and slide, excuse me. So you will see for 0111U, you have 81275 plus 81276 plus 81311 plus 81276. That is correct. And the second choice is 81445 times 1.5, and then obviously gap fill as well. All right, on to item 570112U, and this is an infectious agent detection lab or test, and this was reviewed by Dr. Clark's Subcommittee C. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Clark.
So our recommendation, which was a soft recommendation, is a crosswalk to 81445, but we did want to elicit or draw out some more discussion of the potential of gap fill, given there were no real comparable CPT codes for more than 55 targets, including both bacterial and fungal. So,
Thank you. Any suggestions or recommendations from those on the phone? Okay, so Dr. Bossler in the room has a question.
I have a question for the laboratory.
So as far as I know, we did not receive anything from the laboratory.
Okay.
Oh, you are? Sorry. Go ahead, you can approach the mic.
Morning. I'm Jennifer White. I'm the Laboratory Director of Operations for Microgen.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. So 2 questions. The first one is, what method are you using to do this?
Sure. So for NGS, we're using 16S and ITS amplicon sequencing on the Illumina MiSeq. And then for drug resistance genes, we're doing 14 by qPCR.
Oh, okay. That's what I'd forgotten. And that answers my second question, because I was trying to figure out the number of targets.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions for the lab owner, Microgen, from the phone? From the room? Thank you very much. I apologize. So I'm assuming there are no other suggestions, so I'm going to go to the ballot items, and we have crosswalk of 81445 and the option of gap fill for code 0112U. Okay, so we're going on to item 580113U. This is another oncology test for the prostate. Code number is 0113U, and I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee C, Dr. Clark.
So our proposed crosswalk is 0005U. It has the same number of targets and similar technology.
Any comments from those on the phone? Any comments from those in the room? No questions for the owner of this test? All right, we're going to go to the ballot item. slide, and so you have 0005U as the crosswalk, gap fill is an option for code 0113U. Okay, oops, we're still waiting. All right, we're going to move on to item 59 through 59 through 74. And item 59 is 0114U. And this is a test for Barrett's esophagus. And I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee C, Dr. Clark. And let me just say that we received information late Sunday, and they are requesting the crosswalk of 81519. And I just want to confirm, is the owner of this test here? So we had understood their request to remove 0047U and replace it with 81519. Dr. Bossler?
Yeah, so I remember this from the public meeting because their slide said 0047U, and I had you ask them specifically, and they corrected and said that it was 81519.
Great, thank you. So we have further information there. And so anybody on the phone want to comment on or ask questions or discuss items of 0114U with the folks here in the room? Vice versa, anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions? Dr. Bossler?
What's the recommendation from the subcommittee?
Yeah. So in this one, we had two potential crosswalks, 81287 or 81288. Both are these methylation analysis, and they're similar. I think the consensus that we put formally was 81287, pending further discussion.
Dr. Bossler? Dr. Lyon?
So it looks like they've got two target genes that they're assessing methylation, and 81278 just targets a single gene. So would you take that times 2? Okay, so I'd recommend that we'd probably take it times 2.
That's 81288 or 87? Times 2. 87? Does this mean we're just going to revise the 81287 from times 1 to times 2? Is that what the panel would like to do?
Well, I'd like to hear from Dr. Lyon. She and Dr. Arcila are the ones that took the front on this discussion.
Okay.
Yes, so the code that they were putting was really for expression. And as we looked at this and it's their description, it's really talked about methylation. So that's why we were putting that in. We felt like methylation analysis is a different process. I do agree that we could go with times 2 because both of those are a single analyte.
Dr. Arcila, do you have any comments? No, I agree with. Okay. Dr. Bossler?
So was there any consideration about the algorithm that's involved here as a component of the work? Because 81287 is just detection.
Yeah, no, I think all methylation assays require an algorithm, so that's part of the one that we're proposing that would be included in that. But I agree it has to be times 2 for the 2 targets.
Yeah, I mean, understanding the methylation piece, yes, but they're also saying that there's a likelihood for Barrett's esophagus. It's a part of their analysis. So if that changes, you're thinking about this at all, whether gap fill would be a better option for this.
Yeah, the laboratory person is not here.
Yeah, is the
That
lab
we
here?
could
Do
potentially
we-
ask.
Do we have someone from Lucid Diagnostics? No, sorry, they can't answer this question.
Yeah, so I think I would still go with the 81287 times 2.
Okay. Ms. Chappelle?
My question was around the algorithm reported as likelihood as well, and that seems different to me than the
Can you
codes.
get closer to the mic, please?
Yeah, that seems different to me than the codes proposed.
Right, so we have an issue then, because you are asking for something that no one has that information on. So it seems to me that we have 2 crosswalks, possibly 3, 81288. I'm not sure if we will remove that. So having said that, Dr. Schoonmaker?
Would you consider 81327, the SEP9 promoter methylation analysis? Would there be a reason that there'd be a difference in resources in doing a methylation for that target versus MGMT or the MLH1? It's 81327, SEP9, colorectal cancer.
So 81327 is found on,
Page 561.
yeah, page 561.
Yeah, I would recommend either that one or maybe 81228 times 2. They're all pretty similar in terms of technology.
Okay, so Dr. Schoonmaker, are you now recommending 81327 times 2, 81288 times 2?
With the 81228 times 2, if there's no difference in really the complexity of methylation analysis on those targets.
So the 81327 times 2 comes off the table? Is that what you would recommend to your colleagues to consider?
Yes, if my colleagues agree, that's reasonable.
All right, Dr. Lyon?
I think I kind of missed one of the things. The Septin-9, are you saying that that is maybe more in line with the Barrett's esophagus in terms of how an algorithmic risk would be determined?
I would need to ask the lab, not sure.
So what I'm hearing is the following. We have on the table from the lab 81519. We have from the subcommittee with adjustments 81288 times 2 and 81287 times 2. Do we have any comments from the folks on the phone?
This is Vicki Basalski. Can I ask, please, have we addressed the question of the difference with the reporting of an algorithm? Because the time 2 codes don't include that, so I'm still confused and would defer to my molecular expertise colleagues.
Dr. Bossler?
Just to follow up on Dr. Paselski's comment, I think that is true. We don't know for sure.
All right. So I'm waiting to get confirmation from the folks on the phone and from the folks at the table that our crosswalks will be 81519, without the understanding from the owner of the lab, the importance of the algorithm at this point. The two crosswalks that were suggested by Subcommittee C have been adjusted to 81288 times 2, 81287 times 2. So in essence, we have 3 crosswalks and of course the option for gap fill. Is that correct? Yeah, everybody's nodding. Dr. Schoonmaker? Okay. Dr. Hamilton?
In light of the wide breadth of opinions, I think this is suggesting that gap fill is an excellent choice.
So noted. All right. Dr. Hamilton, I'm assuming you have no other comment? Okay. All righty. So we're going to go to the ballot items. So the slide should now read 40114U. First crosswalk 81519. Second crosswalk 81287 times 2. Third crosswalk is 81288 and there times 2. And there should be another option of gap fill. So please submit your votes. Okay, thank you. So we're going to move on to the next item, which is item 60, and this is 0120U, and this is a B-cell lymphoma classification test, and it was reviewed by Subcommittee D, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. The disease entity in this one is lymphoma. The methodology is mRNA gene expression by fluorescent probe hybridization, 58 genes being evaluated, and the use of an algorithm. The proposed crosswalk to 81520 is based on a breast cancer directed test that uses hybrid capture but has an algorithm in it, and that's the recommendation from our group.
Okay, any comment from those on the phone? Any comments from those here in the audience? I mean, in the central office? Okay, so the ballot item is crosswalk 81520 and obviously gap fill. Okay, we're going to move on to item 61, and this is code 0129U, and this is another breast cancer. But it's specific to hereditary breast cancer test, and this was also reviewed by Subcommittee D, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. This is a DNA-based analysis for inherited genes predisposing to breast and ovarian cancer. The panel is with 8 genes in it, and it uses DNA sequencing methodology. The recommendation for the crosswalk on this shown on the screen, based on opinions from the laboratory as well as the society. The 81228, a quarter versus a half, I'm not sure how to deal with that. It seems appropriate, but I'm not sure how to weight that. But those are the recommendations for consideration from our group.
I'm going to check and see if the lab owner is here, and then perhaps I don't know if the subcommittee and or the members of the panel would like to ask questions of them. Do we have anybody here from, is Ambry? Could you approach the mic, please, and let us know your name? If you could speak it slowly, because it makes it easier for the transcriptionist, that would be greatly appreciated.
Certainly. Robert Geigley, representing Ambry Genetics.
And that's Guigley?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Got it. All right. So we have a few questions. I don't know if Dr. Hamilton wants to ask his questions first.
Sure. Appreciate an explanation on the 0.25 compared to the 0.50 on the 81228.
Certainly. As you're aware, there were a handful of panels representing different gene sets that we've requested new CPTs and pricing for here. Some of them included the PMS2 gene, which requires a separate MLPA analysis every time it's performed, and some of them did not. That was the general differentiator between when we requested a 0.25 times the 81228 versus a 0.5 times the 81228. If it did not include the PMS2 gene, we had requested a 0.25. If it did, we had requested a 0.5.
Thank you.
Ms. Chappelle?
So I have 2 questions. The first question is, the 81228 code is specific to the additional analysis for uncertain variants. Is that correct?
There's a handful of different methodologies that are performed, including the uncertain variants. There's also the MLPA for the PMS2 gene, as mentioned, where relevant. There's array CGH and MLPA required for deletion duplication analysis in certain regions, or AT-GC-rich regions of certain genes or pseudogenes that require these additional analyses in order to produce a comprehensive result for the gene sets in question, in addition to Sanger analysis for the low-quality reads that are required. So that encompasses all of that additional methodology on top of the base DNA analysis, sequencing analysis.
Okay, so then the position of the lab is that all of that additional analysis would not be encapsulated by the 81432 or the 81433, which says detection of deletions, duplications, no matter what your technique is to get there.
I didn't want to interrupt your question.
No, that's okay.
Yes, that is the position of the laboratory, and the primary rationale for this is that it is a genomic sequencing procedure code, not procedures. So therefore, there is no current coding infrastructure that represents the fact that multiple procedures may be required to produce the highest quality result. And as a result, multiple laboratories will not even analyze those regions as aforementioned of the genes. They'll simply disclaim the fact that they have not looked there. And Ambry believes that it is necessary to produce the highest quality result to analyze that, and therefore there's some required coding differentiation to represent that. I hope that answered your question.
Yes.
Maybe.
Do you have any further questions?
Just a question around how often you detect an uncertain variant on these tests that would require further analysis.
It's a high degree of frequency. I don't have the exact number, but I'd be happy to follow up in any format.
50%?
It depends on the panel, to be specific. It could be in the range of 25 to 35%, just depending on the panel. And then there's a large percentage, 25 to 50% of the panels that require those additional methodologies for ATGC-rich regions or the gene in question. PMS2 100% of the time. Low quality reads, it's nearly 100% of the time.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay, great. I don't know who had their placard up first. Okay, Dr. Bossler?
So just because there's a bit of a reverberation in here, the genes that you're doing the extra analysis are which ones?
It could be any of them. There are some that are very specific, again, like the PMS2 that I've mentioned. It could be any of the others that have pseudogene regions or these AT and GC-rich regions. We will then, therefore, as determined by the laboratory director, perform the additional methodologies. Also, any of the genes with low-quality reads will require Sanger analysis in addition.
Right, which is pretty typical for a lot of the NGS that we do. So just so that I understand correctly, you're saying about 25 to 35% of the time or 25 to 50% of the time is when you would do the additional analyses?
Again, and sorry if I'm not being clear, for some of the genes, as you're probably well aware, Dr. Bosler, it requires it 100% of the time, the additional, and other laboratories will just not look at that region at all. Mm-hmm. So this is not, even though it might be done by some labs, it's not, I would suggest, a common procedure, hence the request for differentiation. Some of them are only required when we encounter a pseudogene region or one of these ATGC regions.
Just trying to clarify the amount of time that happens.
Dr. Lyon?
Okay, so I'm a little confused because you're talking about PMS2 as one of the genes, weren't you?
Correct.
In the description that I have here that I thought was from, for this test, I don't see PMS2 as listed there.
Good question, Dr. Lyon. There are a handful of panels that have been requested here we'll be reviewing. The first question that was asked was why 0.25 or 0.5. Some of the crosswalk requests that we had recommended a 0.25, some a 0.5. The differentiation between the two from Ambry's perspective was the inclusion of PMS2, which requires 100% of the time in MLPA analysis.
Okay, so you're recommending 81432 plus 81433, which is deletion duplication analysis, and then 0.25 of a cytogenomic microarray?
That's correct.
How does the cytogenomic microarray deal with the PMS2 issue better than the others? Because PMS2 requires something a bit different either way you do it.
Yeah, so the first two are for the base. Again, the differentiation that we like to place on this is procedure versus procedures that are required. The 81432 and 433 would represent, as per their codes, one single genomic sequencing procedure and del-dup analysis. The additional methodologies that are required by this particular assay here include the Sanger for low-quality reads. While PMS is not included, MLPA is not necessary 100% of the time for that PMS2 gene, although it will be for future panels we'll be discussing in just a moment. However, MLPA and array CGH are required for these AT-GC-rich regions and, the pseudogenes.
So are you then saying that you're interpreting 81433 to be deletion duplication detection only from the NGS data?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, that just wasn't my interpretation of that at all. I don't know how other panel members view that.
Well, the deletion duplication analysis is only one reason that we're performing the orthogonal MLPA. So there are other reasons to perform that, as I've articulated, that are not common amongst laboratories and are necessary to get the highest quality results. So they would have to be done in addition, and there's no current coding infrastructure to reimburse for that additional work.
But aren't you, in a sense, getting paid twice for 81433 and 81228 for a deletion duplication method agnostic?
No, because of these additional regions are not being captured by certain laboratories who are still performing deletion duplication analysis. So this is not, as mentioned, a common procedure that is uniform. However, you could perform the base sequencing plus deletion duplication purely off of the sequencing data, as you've mentioned, However, to get the highest quality read, sometimes orthogonal methodologies are required, and that's what we're articulating here.
Then wouldn't it be more reasonable to then list like a PMS2 deletion code?
Perhaps if PMS2 were included in this panel, that would be appropriate.
Or whichever gene specific it is that you're saying has more work. I'm questioning the 81228 and the 81433 because with the exception of a gene here or there, you could do most genes either way.
Again, there's these multiple regions that just aren't able to be done or captured in that methodology. And Dr. Quinn represents us as well. I don't know if you have anything that you'd be able to add to our thoughts here, but this is being able to capture this additional, in addition to the deletion duplication was key.
I get the understanding. I mean, I understand that some genes may require a little extra work, but to take an 81228 in conjunction with an 81443 seems like it's repetitive.
We've bundled that, Dr. Lyon. One additional element that I did not mention was the mRNA analysis that's required to resolve variants of uncertain significance, which is a very unique feature as well. And that is all encompassing. So these additional methodologies plus the mRNA analysis all together, we're approximating the work of 1/4 of the 81228.
Does that then need to be included in the description? Because I don't see anything where it talks about RNA, DNA.
So the code description, that becomes an AMA CPT issue?
What was that?
The code descriptor becomes an AMA CPT editorial panel issue.
Okay.
So before we go to Dr. Bosler, Dr. Lyon, I just want to make sure, so your concern is the potential duplicative work, and so between 81433 and 81228, and so are you thinking maybe of another crosswalk? And I'm going to let you think about that, and we're going to get back to you, because I'm going to have Dr., unless you want to answer. Yeah. And Dr. Bosler?
So just for clarification, right now we're talking about 0129U, which is hereditary breast cancer. Do I have the right code?
Correct.
Because PMS2 is not in that gene list.
Correct.
That was confusing me.
Sorry about that.
So I would second Dr. Lyon's concern about the duplication of work there, at least for this particular code. So I'd make the recommendation of a crosswalk of 81432 plus 81433.
Dr. Lyon?
Yes, unless the descriptor here is not accurate for the test that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not encompassing of the descriptor. I thought actually did include with mRNA analysis as required to resolve variants of uncertain significance would be the complete. I thought was the full descriptor. So that does not appear to be the full descriptor.
So,
the attempt of the descriptor was to be very clear that it was not just sequence analysis and deletion duplication. It was with array CGH, MLPA, and mRNA analysis as required was the exact descriptor. So it was very clear that there are multiple methodologies included in this to differentiating it from the base crosswalk that Dr. Bosler just mentioned.
What percentage of time do you do the RNA analysis?
It's relatively small, in the 5% range, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Schoonmaker?
Is this code related to the 0130U?
That's an RNA analysis code.
Yes.
That's a separate test. That's a single stream genomic sequencing procedure that we'll discuss.
Okay, that has a PMS2 in it. I'm just wondering if this discussion applies to both this one and the next one.
That's different.
Okay, different.
So I just want to confirm that we just pulled up the AMA CPT editorial panel descriptor for 0129U. And it is as we have it up there.
Okay. I was fairly confident it was not, but okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Schoonmaker, any other questions on your end? All right. Any other questions for Mr.
Geigley.
Geigley? Thank you. On the phone, do we have questions for Mr. Geigley? All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So this is what I'm hearing. We have crosswalk, the first crosswalk of 81432 plus 81433 plus 81228 times 0.25. We have the same crosswalk, but with a multiplier of 0.50. And then we have the added crosswalk of 81432 plus 81433. And I just want to confirm with the folks on the phone and the people here in the room, the panel, is that your understanding as well? Okay, so everybody's nodding. Okay, so we're going to go on to the ballot items. So you will see on the slide the crosswalks just discussed with the, I'm going to cut to the chase for 0129U. It is 81432 plus 81433 plus 81228 times 0.25. The second crosswalk is identical, but the multiplier is 0.5. And then the third crosswalk would be 81432 plus 81433, and no addition of 81228 with the two different multipliers. So having said that, and then gap fill is another option, please submit your votes. Okay, so let's go on to the next code, which is 0130U, which is a hereditary colon cancer disorders related test, and this was also covered by Subcommittee D as in dog, so I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. The disease entity this time is hereditary colon cancer with a panel of 10 genes in the germline. The methodology, in contrast to what we just heard about, is a targeted messenger RNA sequencing. In looking at the available crosswalks, there's a breast cancer code with DNA and a similar number of genes, and it seems appropriate. That is the crosswalk to 81435.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from those on the phone? Any questions from those here in the room? Any questions for the owner of the lab from Ambry, Mr. Quigley? Okay, so I'm going to move to the ballot items slide. So for code 0130U, we have the crosswalk of 81435. And so please submit your votes. And we're just tallying the votes at this point, so hold on. Okay, so we're going to go on to this item 63, that's 0131U, and this is a hereditary breast cancer related disorder. And this was reviewed by Subcommittee D as in dog, so Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. Return to breast cancer predisposition, this time with a list of 13 genes. The methodology is targeted mRNA sequence. And the crosswalk that seems appropriate for this is 81432.
Any comments from those on the phone? Those in the room here? Any questions for each other or for the owner of this code? From those on the phone? People here? All right, so we're going to go to the ballot items slide. And so for code 0131U, we have the crosswalk of 81432, and of course, gap fill is an option. Moving on to item 64, that's 0132U. This is a hereditary and ovarian carcinoma test, and I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee D, that's Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. This again is related to inherited breast, ovarian, and endometrial cancer, this time with 17 genes. The methodology is mRNA sequencing. The appropriate crosswalk appears to be 81432.
So we noted that there may be questions for the owner, and I'm going to, so there are two questions. There's a single question that has been on the slide, entered into the slide. So does Ambry want to come to the mic? And so from the subcommittee, we have the question of what's the difference between other ovarian carcinoma codes versus 0132U, and does 0132U represent just RNA sequencing?
The answer to does it just represent RNA sequencing is yes. This is a RNA sequencing code.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Chappelle?
So the RNA sequencing is of all the genes that are listed there on the panel. Every time that test is run, the RNA sequencing is completed on all of those genes.
That's correct.
And then this is a question from my molecular lab colleagues. The codes that we're crosswalking to are genomic sequencing. What is the difference, or is there a difference in the level of effort between mRNA sequencing versus genomic sequencing?
Dr. Lyon?
The level of effort, I believe, is more in the upfront prep of the RNA than DNA. Once it gets to a sequenceable form, it's pretty much the same procedure, but you may want to ask the submitter, the owner, of that.
I feel like if you feel it's equivalent, that's good for me.
So would you like to hear it from the lab owner's perspective, or it's up to the committee?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Dr. Lyon said it well. It's essentially the same exact procedure performed in parallel on a different specimen in a different laboratory, but it's the same.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Quigley on the phone? Any questions here in the central office? Okay, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. I'm going to move to the ballot items slide for code 0132U. The crosswalk is 81432, and of course, gap fill is also another option. So let's move on to item 65, and this is 0133U. This is a hereditary prostate cancer-related disorders test, and I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee D, and that's Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. This time is a panel of 11 genes for hereditary prostate predisposition. The methodology is mRNA sequencing, and the appropriate code is 81432.
Any comments from the folks here in the room? On the phone? All right. So I'm going to move this. Okay, before I do that, so there again is another question from the subcommittee. And does the subcommittee still want to ask Mr. Quigley to answer the question, what is the difference between prostate carcinoma codes versus 0133U, and does 0133U represent just RNA sequencing? In essence, it was the same question as before. And so the subcommittee says they're good to go. They have their answer from the previous set of questions that were asked. Okay, so I'm going to go then to the ballot slide. So for code 0133U, you have crosswalk 81432, and then gap fill, and then please cast your votes. All right, I think we're ready to go on to item 66, which is 0134U. This is a hereditary pan cancer, for example, breast, ovarian, endometrial, colorectal, mRNA sequence analysis, 18 genes, and I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee D, Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. The appropriate crosswalk is 81432.
Any questions from those on the phone? Any question from those in the audience? And I'm assuming we have the same response that the question the panel was seeking, the subcommittee, has been answered. So I'm going to move to the ballot items slide for crosswalk 81432 for the coding question of 0134U. And of course, gap fill is an option. Please cast your votes. Good to go? Okay, so we're going to move on to item 67, and that's 0135U. This is another hereditary test, but this is for gynecologic carcinoma, and I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee D as in dog with Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. 12 genes this time, 81432.
Any questions from those on the phone? Any questions from those here? Again, the question that was raised, and you see on the slide here, I'm assuming the question has been answered through, okay, everybody's nodding. We're going to go to the ballot items slide for 0135U. Crosswalk is 81432, and of course, gap fill is an option. Please submit your votes. Going to move on to item 68, 0136U. This is an ataxia telangiectasia mutated mRNA sequence analysis test. And I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee D as in dog, Dr. Hamilton.
And for you baseball fans, this is a change-up. One gene this time, still mRNA sequencing, 81317.
Thank you. Any questions from the phone? Any questions from the folks here in the room? And then we have the similar question. I'm assuming that the subcommittee is good to go. All right, their questions have been answered from previously, but since we have a change up, there may be other questions, and Dr. Lyons' placard just went up. Dr. Lyons?
I'm just trying to find 81317 and the description of that. It's out of order on here, so I'm...
81317, Elaine, is that what you're asking? That's for PMS2 full gene sequence analysis?
So for those of you on the phone, some of the panel members are reviewing a few pieces of information. Dr. Line, and Dr. Bossler, would you like to speak to the representative? Okay, he's there.
Yeah, one quick question.
She pointed at me.
Is this full gene, complete gene for ATM?
Correct.
Okay. It wasn't in the descriptor, so that's what I just wanted to check.
Dr. Line?
And so why the crosswalk to 81317 as PMS2?
It was the nearest single gene existing coding that represented the resources required to do RNA sequencing on this gene.
For like the number of exons,
Similar.
taking into consideration the difficulty of the pseudogene to work around?
That's correct.
Does ATM have the similar type issue as that?
I don't believe the ATM does have the pseudogene issue from RNA perspective, so I don't believe that was considered, but it was a general crosswalk to resources required.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Dr. Bossler?
Just for clarification, there's a parenthetical that goes with this. It says list separately in addition to code for the primary procedure. What's the primary procedure?
The DNA analysis. This will be performed in conjunction with the DNA analysis.
For just ATM or for one of the panels?
For just ATM in this circumstance.
Okay. So is this ever targeted, or do you always do the full gene?
It would be full RNA sequencing for this test.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So I'm going to go to the ballot items slide. So for code 0136U, the crosswalk is 81317, and of course, gap fill. Please cast your votes.
I do have one more question.
Okay, so hold on casting your votes. Dr. Line has another question. Is this for the owner of the code? Yes. Mr. Quigley, thank you.
Came because of Dr. Bossler's question. If this is an addition to the primary procedure, why isn't the crosswalk to the ATM sequencing? Is there an ATM sequencing code?
I believe that's a tier 2 code, which is why we wouldn't have crosswalked it to that. I think the answer is no, Dr. Lan. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the answer is no.
8140.
There is no
So that's
ATM.
so that's a tier 2 code, right? 8140. Okay.
That is the answer. I just wanted to be 100% sure before I gave you an affirmative. Thank you, Heather.
Okay. There is no suggestion for another crosswalk? Got it. So, okay, sorry about this, Sarah. So everybody, if you've not voted, complete your vote. And the crosswalk is 81317, gap fill as well. So there, in essence, there was no change to the items. Thanks. All right, so we're going to go on to item 690137U. And this is a code for the PLB2 mRNA sequencing analysis. And I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee D as in Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. Again, 81317.
All right, any questions from those on the phone here in the room? Okay. We're going to go to the ballot items slide for 0137U. Your crosswalk is 81317, and gap fill, and please cast your votes. So item 70 is 0138U, and this is on BRCA 1 code, and I'm going to turn, and BRCA 2, and I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee D. Dr. Hamilton.
Yes, thank you. Again, 2 genes this time, but 81317.
Any comments from the folks on the phone? Any comments? Okay, so we have Dr. Schoonmaker and then Dr. Bossler.
I guess this is for the sponsor. How is this different from the code 81163, BRCA 1 and 2 gene full sequences analysis?
Certainly, the 81163 is a genomic sequencing procedure generally representing the DNA analysis portion of this. As mentioned previously, this is an entirely separate process that is basically identical to that, but analyzing the RNA portion.
Right.
Dr. Bossler, Dr. Schoonmaker, are you have any other questions?
Aaron has to say first. Go ahead.
So are you done, Dr. Schoonmaker?
Yeah, for now.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, at the battery maybe.
So I just wanted to follow up on Michelle there. So, I mean, you'd have the identical number of coding sequences for 81163. So I'd propose that that needs to at least be one of the crosswalk recommendations.
Perhaps I don't know if I can make a recommendation, but 81162 would actually be the closer for the BRCA 1 and 2 combination. Oh, actually, I apologize. Disregard. You're correct.
62 is the del dupe, and
Yeah.
63 is the full sequence.
Correct.
Thank you. Dr. Schoonmaker?
I agree with that.
All right. Any more questions?
I mean, I don't know if we can go back. So if we're going to follow that logic for this one, the one prior, there was a code for the BRCA 1 and 2 full gene.
Can you please use the microphone?
Sequences.
Dr.
you see that?
Bossler?
So are you asking about 0137U for
Yeah,
PAL B2?
81165, sorry, I'm a little slow. For the previous one?
Yeah. So PAL B2 was the one that we looked at earlier in this
Right.
session, which also had to be crosswalked to another gene.
Right,
In that instance, we used 81317.
right,
Or at least that was our recommendation.
right, okay.
So are you changing the recommendation for 0138U?
No.
No. Oh, Dr. Schoonmaker, your placard is still up.
Sorry.
You have, okay, just checking. Dr. Lyon?
So just a second, is 81163 recommended now as an option for us? And if not, why?
Which one?
You're talking about code 0138U?
0138U,
Yes.
So which code did you say?
and it's BRCA 1 and 2
Correct?
Oh,
mRNA sequencing.
Right.
81163 is full sequence analysis of BRCA 1 and BRCA 2.
I misheard the numbers. Yeah, that was correct.
So, okay, so let me cut to the chase here. So is the recommendation to crosswalk, a new crosswalk for 0138U 81163. Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so 81163 is a reconsidered code, which we're going to be discussing in the next session. So
Yeah, so we can't use it.
you can.
Oh.
You can still recommend it. However, it potentially may
Yeah,
change.
Strike that then, yeah.
So you can, if you want to add that to the list here. Dr. Line?
Yes, I think that would be the better option here. So can this be put on hold until after that discussion and then come back to this?
So the answer is, if you want to crosswalk it to 81163, the answer is yes. And so we can, that is an option for 0138U. Dr. Bossler?
No questions, sorry. I should have put that down.
Ms. Chappelle, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to.
Okay, it's okay, just use your mic.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think 81163 is the most appropriate crosswalk.
Okay, I have a question for everybody here at the table. Do you have any more questions for the owner of this code so we can let him sit down? None. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go to the folks on the phone. Any comments about the addition of 81163 in addition to 81317? Hearing none, I'm going to advance this to the ballot items slide. So for code 0138U, I'm hearing the crosswalk of 81317, 81163, and then gap fill. So please cast your votes. Okay, so let's move on to code 71, item 71, code 0094U. And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Chandra with Subcommittee B, and this is a genome rapid sequence analysis related code.
Thank you, Karen. We did discuss this code. There was a recommendation by the owner of the CPT code of 81425 times 1.8. Many of us on the committee felt did not understand the reason for the 1.8 multiplier, and we suggest 1.3 is a more reasonable estimate of the resource cost. So our recommendation is to crosswalk to 81425 times 1.3.
Thank you. Dr. Baselski, do you have any comments?
No.
Thank you. Any comments from the folks here in the room? And before we start with comments, I just want to check if we have the Ratty Child's Hospital in the audience.
Yeah, I'm a consultant working on this code.
So I'm going to ask Dr. Quinn to come to the microphone, and if he, Dr. Quinn, can you speak for the owner of this test? So clearly, Dr. Chandra would like a little bit more of the rationale for the 1.8 multiplier.
Sure. My name's Bruce Quinn. I'm a pathologist. I work full-time on federal policy and help develop this code. This is an unusual code. It's sort of like an orphan disease code. It's done as extremely rapid genomic sequencing, whereas historically genome sequencing ran on a timetable of many weeks or even over a month. And this is done within as little as 48 to 72 hours, so the costs are a lot higher. The reason that Rady proposed 1.8 is because they had a lot of value cost justification for that. They had a publication with a published table of costs that came out at about $8,000. They showed that they had a California Medicaid cost-based audited contract that was about $8,500. And they showed additional submitted materials that the costs were, worked to $8,000 or $9,000. So from the perspective of a proposer, they proposed a valuation that would match all of their cost data. Otherwise, if they had done this, they would have been proposing a valuation that was much lower than their objective data and tables that they were providing. So this was really what they were channeled to proposing based on their publications and contracts and the data that they submitted, including supplemental data. Now, having had that, the panel needs to make its own decision. But that's the reason that they use that.
Thank you. Dr. Lyon?
So it was another way to look at this, and I'm not exactly sure how, what multiplier to put on it. But to be able to do it rapidly, you are not going to be able to batch samples. So for example, let's say that on one flow cell you could do, depending on the instrument, I'm going to use the instrument that I know, we could do up to 24 samples at a time, and so that can reduce our costs per sample. By doing this rapidly, my question is, how many samples can you still batch with a rapid genome and still get this, or is it truly a one-at-a-time analysis?
Two things. It's truly a one-at-a-time analysis, so that this is done generally without batching, and efficient next-generation sequencing that provides lower costs would involve a lot of batching. So this involves as little as no batching. You may be running you could be running a parent and a child together, but that's still a very small part of the whole thing. Also, this is not run on sort of a routine, like small hospital sequencer like a MiSeq. You may know the name, I don't recall the name, but this is the super sequencer. This is like the $1 million sequencer, from Illumina. So this is the very top end of genomic sequencing.
Any other questions? Dr. Schoonmaker?
Yeah, what would be the clinical need that requires that level of urgency?
There are a number of publications on this, and they have some of the world-leading people in the field working on this. I'm only here as a consultant to the company. But this is done on children or infants that are literally critical care, done in ICU, for example. And so having an answer in 2 days or 3 days, 2.5 days, rather than a period of weeks can be life-saving. And they've had publications that this impacts care like 40, 50% of the time, and then the subset that are run urgently are because it needs to be run urgently. And you truly don't know what's wrong with the child. They may have a de novo crippling mutation. So again, I cannot speak as a neonatal, care guy, but I know the whole point here, and the conferences about it and the publications are that there's a role for ultra-fast sequencing sometimes in the neonatal or PDICU.
Any other questions from the folks here? Any questions from the folks on the phone, given the information you've just heard from Dr. Quinn? Hearing none, we're going to go to thank you, Dr. Quinn. We're going to move to the ballot item slide for 0094U, and you will see your choices are 81425 times 1.8, 81425 times 1.3, and then of course gap fill is an option. Okay. We're going to move on to the next item, which is 72, and it's 0101U. And this is a hereditary colon cancer disorders test. And we're going to turn this over to Dr. Chandra from Subcommittee B as in boy.
Thank you, Karen. The discussion here is going to tie into some of the previous discussions we had on a similar CPT code. In general, there was some concern as to, I guess, a desire to understand the rationale of 81228 that was recommended by professional societies as well as the owner of the CPT code. Again, there were questions as to whether 81228 was needed, how often it was used, and so ultimately what we're recommending here are two crosswalks, 81435 plus 81436 plus 81228 times 0.5. And then the second crosswalk for our voting members would be 81435 plus 81436. And I would ask the owner of the CPT code to provide some clarification, might be a summary of the previous comments, but again, for the voting members to provide clarification as to the use of 81228 and how it fits in, how often it's used, etc.
Yeah, Mr. Quigley, please approach the microphone.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the question. As you can see in this descriptor, it does clearly call out the multiple methodologies that are required to produce the highest quality result here, including not just the NGS or single procedure, but the Sanger MLPA, array CGH, and mRNA for VUS. This particular panel does have the PMS2 gene included in it, which would require MLPA analysis for a few of the exons 100% of the time. In addition, array CGH is performed approximately 10% of the time, and MLPA is performed on other regions in genes approximately 50 to 60% of the time based upon the previously mentioned AT and GC rich regions or homopolymer regions. So the addition of additional methodologies is required, again, to produce the most high quality output in addition to the general deletion duplication analysis as represented by the 81436 code.
Any other questions? Dr. Line?
Okay, now with this description, I understand what you're talking about. So at this point, is this going to be different enough? And it sounds like, in a sense, are you doing this as a type of a tiered type testing at all, or everything done all at once, or you perform sequencing, and if that doesn't, and then depending on what you get, you do these other things?
So it depends on if the gene like MSH2, which has a homopolymer region requiring the addition of MLPA analysis, or I'm sorry, Sanger analysis for that particular one, that will be done in advance every single time it is performed. And it's the same for the PMS2 gene or for any genes that have those known troublesome regions, summing up the aforementioned. So those are done every time that gene is present and every time and those regions are known. So in advance, we know we're going to do that.
So I guess my question with this is this different enough than what other people are doing that it really does need to be revisited as a gap fill? Because you're combining, different things.
Our thought in the recommendation, as well as the specialty body's recommendation, was that being that the array or the 81228 is one of the methodologies that we're performing in here, albeit not 100% of the time for that full procedure, therefore it doesn't warrant the $900 price point, that would be an appropriate work and resources crosswalk rather than going through the gap filling process. But that will leave to the panel's decision making.
So while Dr. Lyon is thinking, I have a quick question. So typically, how frequently is 81228 performed? Is it more than 52% of the time, 50% of the time, less than 50% of the time? Which one of the above?
And to be clear, we're not performing specifically 81228 here. It's the approximate work and resources involved in 81228 times 0.5. For this particular one, there are additional methodologies being performed 100% of the time, or more than one gene included in this panel.
Thank you. Dr. Lyon, do you have any other questions? Ms. Chappelle?
Yeah, I don't know that this is necessarily a question. It's more of a comment from and I'd like to hear maybe my colleagues' opinions. From my perspective, what makes this description and code unique is the addition of the mRNA analytics when an uncertain variant is detected. I recognize you saying that you do all these other methods to try to get to the deletion duplications in the gene that are clinically relevant and the sequence variants that are relevant. And you say that that is above and beyond what other labs do. I don't know that that was considered in the original code of the methods that one might need to use to get deletion duplication results. So to me, I don't know what other labs are doing, but I imagine they may be doing all of the above or some of the above, and they're being reimbursed with the existing codes for that. So it's more just a comment, but I think the thing that stands out here is the mRNA when there's an uncertain variant. We talked about that's 20 to 35% of the time, depending on the test.
It's less than that. That was the less than 5% that I commented on, to be clear.
Okay. And then just another comment maybe for the laboratory experts, the 81228, the pricing for that, and the indication for that type of testing, for that code, is usually in pediatrics, or prenatally now as well, and the analysis that needs to be done as part of that code, and interpretation as part of that code. I don't know how different that is in that setting versus when you're using it or trying to correlate it or use it in this setting.
Heather, I don't know if there was a question for me at all in there.
I don't think there was.
Okay.
Unless you want to respond to anything, the gibberish that I just threw out there.
I would like to your comment, in that regardless of the number of laboratories, and I won't speak for what other laboratories in the industry are doing, there is no current coding infrastructure for them to capture the additional cost that's required for the 100% of time additional testing that goes into an Ambry result. And as a result, there are many laboratories that will just choose to disclaim the fact that they didn't look at those regions of the gene in the report. So from a quality perspective, this is worth installing in order to improve the quality of output results from all laboratories.
Any other questions? Ms. Chappelle? All right. Thank you, Mr. Quigley.
Thank you.
From the folks on the phone, based on what you've just heard, do you have any other questions or comments? So I want to confirm with Dr. Chandra that the crosswalk that I think you can see the slide for 0101U. Are the crosswalks that you see on the slide correct, or would you like me to read those crosswalks to you? I just need.
They are correct. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we're going to go on to the ballot items. And so for 0101U, the crosswalk is 81435 plus 81436 plus 81228 times 0.5. And the other option is gap fill. And she needs to correct the slide because we made a change to the ballot items this morning after receiving clarification from our from Subcommittee B. Correct. It's 81435 plus 81436 plus the product of 81228 times 0.5. And of course, gap fill. Dr. Schoonmaker, it looked like you wanted to say something. I just want to be sure. Okay, thanks. Okay, hold on a second. We got a last-minute comment. Ms. Chappelle?
I think we had recommended 2 crosswalk options.
According to your chair, that was changed this morning?
Oh.
No, actually, sorry for the miscommunication. The crosswalk 81435 plus 81436 times 81228 times 0.50, that was to correct a typographical error on actually my part when we submitted our recommendations. Dr. Chappelle is correct. We do have 2 crosswalk recommendations. The first is the one I just mentioned, and the second crosswalk is 81435 plus 81436 only.
I'm going to clear the results because that option was not available originally, and reactivate this question. If you would please now cast your vote. Thank you.
So that for transparency, so these are the crosswalks. 81435 plus 81436 plus the product of 81228 times 0.50. The second crosswalk is 81435 plus 81436. The third option is gap fill, just so everybody hears this and we're being transparent.
Correct.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go on to the next item, which is 73, and the code is 0102U. This is a hereditary breast-related disorders test, and I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee B, as in boy, and Dr. Chandra, this is all yours.
Thank you. Similar comments here. We are going to be recommending 2 crosswalks and would very much like to hear from the owner of the CPT code to provide some more clarification as to the use of the resources that are equivalent to 81228. So our crosswalk recommendations are 81432 plus 81433 plus 81228 times 0.25. And then the second crosswalk, just to be clear, is 81432 plus 81433 only. And again, there was a need for more understanding for the additional resources and how it applies to the specific test.
So can we have Mr. Quigley, I'm sorry, Geigley to the microphone? And I believe the question is, why is there a difference between your crosswalk of 0.25 as the multiplier for 81228 versus 0.50? Or did we have this conversation already?
We kind of did, but it's worth clarification. This particular panel does not have PMS2 included in it. Therefore, that 100% of the time MLPA assay is not required. However, it is still run on those complex regions, as is our ACGH for the deletion duplication testing as well. And as mentioned, there's no current methodology to capture the costs and resources that the laboratory uses and expends in order to perform those additional methodologies.
Having heard that, do we have any other comments from Dr. Chandra and Baselski on the phone?
No.
Any, so questions, okay. So any questions from those here in the room? Thank you, Mr. Geigley.
Thank you.
So we're going to move to the ballot item slide for 0102U, and your crosswalks are 81432 plus 81433 times the product of 81228 times 0.25. Your second option is crosswalk 81432 plus 81433 plus the product of 81228 times 0.5. The third crosswalk is 81432 plus 81433, and of course, gap fill is an option. Please cast your vote. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next item, and this is the last item for this session, and that is item 74, and it is code 0103, hereditary ovarian carcinoma sequencing. I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee B, as in boy, Dr. Chandra.
Thanks, Karen. Similar comments for this particular CPT code. The two crosswalks that we recommend for consideration are 81432 plus 81433 plus 81228 times 0.5. The second crosswalk is simply 81432 plus 81433 for the voting panel members. And if the owner has any comments or if there's any questions from the rest of the committee members, I leave it open for discussion.
Do we have any questions from the panel members here for Mr. Geigley? Dr. Chandra, you have specific questions for Mr. Geigley from Ambry?
No, I think my questions have been clarified from the previous discussions.
Dr. Baselski?
No question.
Okay, so having heard no further requests for information and or new crosswalks, we're going to move to the ballot items slide. So for code 0103U, the crosswalk is 81432 plus 81433 plus the product of 81228 times 0.5. Your second crosswalk is 81432 plus 81433, and then gap fill is an option. Please submit your votes. So while they are voting, I want to ask the folks in the audience if anyone here who is one of the owners of the code that will be in session 4, can you raise your hand? Okay. So what we're going to try and do is be fair. Those who are in session 4 but have not yet arrived versus those who have arrived and are available, we would like to move ahead and make use of our time and take care of review of your codes. So having said that, I notice it's Ms. James from Mayo Clinic and the other person, Dr. Adensky. And who is the person in the back? Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I've just been told that we need a physiologic break. So while this is occurring, we're going to go for 10 minutes, okay? Because I want to do as many as we can by noon. Can the three folks who are here approach the table, or 4 people, and let me get the list of codes.
Before anybody goes anywhere, though, we're missing one vote on this last code. Can you please check that you do have something highlighted on your screen? Thank you. Now you may go.
So we will reconvene at 11:23.
I had it on there. I double checked.
Okay, so I believe we should stay on course and get a few more codes from session 4 addressed, and then we will break from 12 to 1. So we have now gone into the next session of the reconsidered codes, and we are now on item 75, which is 81163, and this was reviewed by the panel and CMS last year, and in keeping with our policies, we received requests to reconsider 81163, and I'm going to turn this over to the CDLT Subcommittee A, Dr. Bossler.
Thank you. So there were some different crosswalk recommendations, but I didn't. Our group talked about this, and we didn't think they quite hit the mark. So we proposed a different crosswalk based on what we think is a better example representation of the work involved. And so there's a little math involved here, but it's simple math. So our crosswalk recommendation is to use 81162 less 81164. So 81162 is BRCA1 and 2 full gene sequence analysis and deletion duplication analysis. So it's the combination of those pieces. And 81164 is the deletion duplication analysis for BRCA1 and 2. And then our code here, 81163, is the full gene sequence analysis. So it made sense to us to take the total, subtract off the del dup piece of this, and you get the full sequencing left over. And so that's our recommendation.
Thank you. Any comments from the folks on the phone? Any comments from the folks here regarding the additional crosswalk of 81162 minus 81164? Okay, none. So I'm going to go to the ballot slide, and so for 81163, a reconsidered code, we have the ballot items of 81408, second crosswalk of 81162 minus 81164, and hold on a second. Also, there is the other option of 81406, which was the crosswalk that it was crosswalked to last year. So your three items are 81408, 81162 minus 81164, and last year's crosswalk of 81406, or in essence, to maintain 81406. And then the gap fill is an option. Okay, we're going to move on to the next item, item 76, on a second reconsidered code, 81165. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler, Subcommittee A.
So again, there were a couple of recommendations for this reconsidered code, but building off of what I just explained for 81163, 81165 is the full gene sequence analysis for BRCA1. So using the same formula of 81162 less 81164, we then divided that in half because BRCA1 and BRCA2 are about the same number of exon content. So our recommendation for 81165 is 81162 less 81164 all of that divided by 2.
Thank you. Any questions from the folks on the phone? Hearing none. Any questions, comments from the folks here at the central office? All right. So we're going to go to the ballot items. For 81165, your crosswalks are 81408 times 0.5. 81162 minus 81164 divided by 2. Maintain last year's crosswalk of 81406, and then there's gap fill. Please cast your votes. All right, we're going to move on to the next item of 0046U, and this is a gene analysis test, and I'm going to turn this over to the subcommittee, Dr. Bossler.
So this one is for a quantitative analysis of the FLT3 internal tandem duplication variant. So this is a request for reconsideration, and the laboratory requested that this be gap-filled. In reviewing what's available, there is an existing FLT3 for the detection of the mutation, but not a quantitative analysis for this. And so we agreed with the rationale to gap-fill.
Any comments from those on the phone? Those in the room? I just want to also let the folks know that the owner of these two labs, 0046U and 0049U, are here if you have questions. Do we have any questions from those on the phone for the lab owner from here in the room? Okay, none. So your choices for 0046U are gap fill, and you can also maintain last year's crosswalk of 81245. So please cast your ballots. So the next code and item number is 78, and the code number is 0049U. This is a gene analysis code, and I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee A, Dr. Bossler.
So this one is also a quantitative code under reconsideration for NPM1 mutation. There is a detection NPM1 code that currently exists, but nothing for quantitation, so we agree with the presenter to gap fill.
Any questions from those on the phone? Hearing none from the room? No questions for the lab owner who is present? We're going to move on to the ballot items slide. For 0049U, this is a reconsidered code. Your options are gap fill, and then to maintain last year's crosswalk for 0049U, which was 81310. All right, we're going to move on to the next item. These are drug metabolism codes, and the owner of these next series of drug metabolism codes is the Mayo Clinic, and we have Ms. James here if you have questions for the owner. I'm going to turn the first code 0070U over to Subcommittee A. Dr. Bossler.
Thank you. So I do have a question for the presenter, so I'll have her step up. But the crosswalk recommendation from the laboratory was 81226 times 1.5. And we wanted clarification as to why there was a multiplier of 1.5. What was the additional work here over what's being done for 81226 for CYP2D6?
Okay, Cheryl James, Mayo Clinic. The 1.5 multiplier accounts for the additional select rare variants that are done. If you look at the code descriptor for 81226, it lists approximately 14, 15 variants. We're looking at 27, and so we felt that the 1.5 multiplier would account for the additional number of select rare variants that are added to your common.
Is this done by sequencing, or what's the method?
This one is using the Quant Studio for the sequencing.
I just want to clarify that the slide that summarizes the public comments is incorrect for Subcommittee A. It should be 81226, not 81223.
Did I say 81223? Oh, okay. Okay.
No more questions? Dr. Lyon?
So is there also additional work, if, like with STAR 36, I think that's getting into the gene conversions and some of the very difficult variants to do as this additional work, so it's not a straightforward variant detection like the others?
It's not a straightforward variant detection, and that's where you'll see in that series of 0071 through 0076, we get into some of the different hybrids
Okay.
where the additional work has to come in.
Do we have any other questions regarding the crosswalks? And for Ms. James, any questions on the folks on the phone having heard her responses? Hearing none, we're going to move to the ballot items slide. So for 0070U, it should be 81226 times 1.5 or 81226 or gap fill. So moving on to item 80, which is 0071U. This is cytochrome P450 drug metabolism study, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler from Subcommittee A.
So the recommendation from the presenter was to crosswalk to 81238 for factor 9. Factor 9 has 8 exons, and CYP2D6 has 9 exons. So we agreed with that, and that's our recommendation.
Any comments from those on the phone? Hearing none. Any comments from those here? I'm going to move to the ballot item slide, and so the crosswalk is 81238. The other option is gap fill, and this is for code 0071U. Okay, so let's go to item 81, that's 0072U. It's another cytochrome P450 test for drug metabolism. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler for Subcommittee A.
So there was a recommendation from the laboratory for crosswalking to 81238, which is the full gene sequencing for factor IX. But from what we can tell from this descriptor, this is targeted sequence analysis for this CYP2D6, 2D7 hybrid gene. And so if the presenter would come up and explain to us the extent of work for this particular code, because the best that we could tell, this seemed more similar to common variant analysis, like for 0031U, which is CYP1A2 common variant analysis.
So, Ms. James, can you just come a little closer to the mic?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, Cheryl James. I'll try to explain it. If need be, I may need to get Dr. Moyer on the line who can explain it more. But my understanding from both Dr. Black and Dr. Moyer, whose laboratory this test is performed in, the work that is needed to analyze these hybrids is that they still have to they have to sequence the full gene, and then they have to go in on each side of where the hybrids are coming about to actually get to the different hybrids. You know, like I said, I can call Dr. Moyer and she can explain it better, but we are doing a full gene analysis to get to our different hybrid targets.
Okay.
Dr. Bossler, does she need to get help?
I was going to pick Elaine's brain.
I'm sorry?
I was going to ask Dr. Lyon if she could comment on this as well.
Dr. Lyon?
So I haven't sequenced the hybrid. I guess one of my questions is, am I right in understanding that there are multiple versions of the hybrid gene and that there can be different breakpoints?
Correct.
In different exons?
Correct, and so they need to look at each of the flanking exons, and that's why you'll see with the series that we concentrate on the CYP2D6, 2D7 hybrid, and then we've got other variations as we go through.
But is there any time that there is a, like, exon 1? I mean, do you have to do it for all exons, or does the 2D6, 2D7 hybrid only happen in exons 5 through 7, or something like that? I think that goes to his question of targeted versus full.
Right, and that would be a question that Dr. Moyer would need to
Does
answer.
she need
I
to
can't.
use her lifeline?
Yeah.
I'm going to
I can
have.
phone a friend.
Do you think the next code is going to require the next, that type of questioning?
Yes. 72U, 73U.
Through 7.6U, you're going to
Yes.
want her.
I think they all.
Yeah. Yep.
Hi, Dr. Moyer. I'm going to try to put you on speaker and then up to the speakerphone. I need you to introduce yourself first, and then Dr. Elaine Lyon has some questions for you. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Dr. Ann Moyer, and I am one of the co-directors of the Personalized Genomics Lab at Mayo Clinic, and responsible for, I think, the pharmacogenomics testing is what you're talking about right now.
Thank you. Dr. Lyon?
Hello, this is Elaine Lyon, and I'm looking at the CYP2D6 codes, particularly the ones of the sequencing the hybrid genes.
Okay.
So the question is that it talks about targeted sequence analysis as opposed to full gene analysis. My understanding of these hybrids is that there can be different breakpoints, but the question is, are you still sequencing like exon 1 through exon 8, was it? Right. Or for each one of these, are you sequencing, exon 3 from 2D6 on, 3 through 7. So is it a full gene or a
Okay,
targeted?
I think I could hear that. It was really quiet. So what you're asking about is for the hybrid alleles, do we still sequence the whole gene, I think was the question. But basically what we do is we have different PCR primers for long-range PCRs so that we can understand the gene structure. And so with those ones, with a hybrid, the first step is to do the long-range PCR to determine whether the hybrid is present or not. And if it is present, we do sequence through it so that we can get a sense of what exactly that hybrid allele is, and also the configuration of the alleles that are present in that patient. Does that answer your question? So it would sequence all of the exons that are present in the hybrid allele.
Almost. I mean, on these hybrid genes, then, okay, you do a long-range PCR. How many exons do you sequence for, like, your 2D6, 2D7 hybrid gene? Is it the same or is it different than your 2D7,
all of the
2D6?
exons that are present in that hybrid, so it'll be the same number of exons, generally as a CYP2D6 would have alone or a CYP2D7 would have alone. It's just that some of the exons are from CYP2D6 and some of the exons originate from CYP2D7, but it's still the same number of exons as it would be to sequence like a complete CYP2D6 gene or a complete CYP2D7 gene.
I didn't get that. Did you understand?
Could you repeat that a little bit slower? It's hard to hear you over the microphone.
Oh, hang on. Let me close my door so I can hear you a little better, and then I can shout a little louder too, because it's really quiet on my end.
Just slower, just slower.
I think they need you to slow down, Dr. Moyer.
Okay. So when we sequence the CYP2D6, 2D7 hybrids or the CYP2D7, 2D6 hybrid alleles, we first do a PCR to amplify that whole gene, and then after that, we sequence each individual exon that is within that hybrid gene. So it would be the same number of exons as would be present in CYP2D6 normally, just some of those exons are derived from CYP2D7 instead of from CYP2D6.
I think I understand.
I think she's saying they sequence the whole gene.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I think that answered that question for him.
Do we have any other questions while we have Dr. Moyer on the lifeline?
So 007 for you is also, again, targeted sequence analysis, non-duplicated gene with duplication, multiplication is in trans for CYP2D6.
So this is the 0074, so could we skip to the slide, because I don't have these in my head as easily, sorry. So that's for the non-duplicated gene when the duplication multiplication is trans.
Yeah, so for that particular sequencing assay, it's the same sort of concept where we're taking advantage of unique sequences to identify or isolate that non-duplicated allele. And in that case, we also would do a PCR reaction to isolate first that non-duplicated allele. And then after that, we sequence each individual exon so that we know the actual genotype and haplotype of that specific CYP2D6 gene. So it's the entire gene that would be sequenced again in that situation.
Okay.
Dr. Lyon?
And so while you're on the line, so are you're sequencing the non-duplicated gene when there's a duplication in trans or a multiplication in trans. If you're detecting by a target analysis or something, a star allele, are you then figuring out if there is a variant such as star 4 on the duplicated allele?
So when we do the duplication analysis, we first had started out with just the standard targeted genotyping, and we discovered that there was a duplication based on the copy number assay. And at that point, if the two alleles present have the same activity, then we are done at that point and would not go on to sequencing. So sequencing is only used in the situation where the two alleles have different activity from each other, and therefore the purpose of the sequencing is to determine which of the alleles is duplicated. So yes, we would be identifying the variants that would be within the duplicated allele that should match up with one of the two, I guess, baseline alleles from the targeted genotyping. But because it's sequencing instead, sometimes you can be a little surprised and find additional variants within that duplicated allele. Not sure if that answered your question.
It kind of. So is sequencing necessary? I mean, if you have a duplication and you have also a, heterozygous for a variant, is sequencing necessary to identify that?
Oh, yes. So if you had, let's say, a star 1, star 4, the star 1 has complete activity and the star 4 has no activity. So if you had 2 star 4s, you would still only have half of normal activity. But if you had 2 star 1s, you would have full activity. So that would make a difference in the interpretation for your patient. So you're trying to determine, is it the star 1 that's duplicated or is it the star 4 that's duplicated? So you'd see heterozygous variants on your targeted genotyping, and then because of the way that the sequencing takes advantage of the unique sequences around those duplicated alleles, then you're only isolating the duplicated allele in that situation and sequencing it. So you would expect everything to be homozygous in that case, and that tells you which of the 2 alleles is duplicated.
Yes, so I agree it's very important to figure out if there is a deleterious variant on a duplicated allele. My question is, again, it goes back to this targeted sequence analysis versus are you sequencing the entirety of the gene to get to the answer of that? If you are sequencing the entirety of the gene to get to that answer, why do you need to sequence the entirety of the gene?
Oh, so the reason that we are sequencing the entire gene at that point is because you're doing this additional PCR reaction anyway. So just the way that our process is set up, we go ahead and sequence it to make sure that we really have the allele that we thought we had. So it's also confirmatory from your targeted genotyping in some ways, but it's a completely separate assay.
I guess in addition to that question, 0071U is the full gene sequence analysis. Are these standalone, these additional codes standalone, or are they add-on to the first one?
These codes are add-on to 0070U, and so 71 through 76, generally, approximately 3 to 5% of the time, they may need to go on to one or more of these 71 through 76U sequences.
So would the full gene sequence analysis be involved, would that be taken care of with the 71U, and then the sort of targeted analysis, 72 through 76?
So we start with 0070, which is your common and rare. Depending on what those findings are, then it makes the decision whether they have to go to the full gene or whether they have to go to the targeted. Correct, Dr. Moyer?
Well, after the targeted genotyping, which was the original code that you mentioned, all of the follow-up tests are all sequencing tests. And again, we don't normally have to go on to those sequencing tests other than in those 3 to 5% of cases. But when we do that, they're all sequencing. It's just a matter of whether it's the hybrid allele, the duplicated allele, the non-duplicated allele, or depending on if we've got a targeted genotyping that doesn't make a haplotype, then we have to do the full gene sequence of just both alleles to identify why it's not making a haplotype. So probably due to a rare variant.
I just want to alert the committee that we will be stopping at 11:58 because the YouTube will stop at 12 noon sharp.
So let me ask the question this way then. Are any of these add-on codes not full gene sequencing?
No, all of the add-on codes are all sequencing, and they would
Full
include
gene,
all of
full
the
gene
exons.
sequencing, full gene sequencing,
Yes.
complete gene.
Well, the exons, not the introns and promoter. Well, I guess it gets part of the promoter.
So all the exons, not the introns, and part of the promoter is what you said?
Yeah, so promoter exons, intron exon splice junctions, and some of the 3' UTR.
Right, but that's for all of those add-on codes every time.
Yes, all
Okay.
of the add-ons.
Okay, okay, that clarifies things. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Dr. Moyer? All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moyer.
All right, so, okay, Dr. Lyon, Dr. Bossler.
So for 0072U,
Okay. All right,
I would change our crosswalk back to what the lab presented, and that was 81238.
are you, okay, so, do we have any other questions from the folks here? Folks on the phone? So, I'm hearing that now the potential crosswalk for 0072U is only 81238.
Yes.
And so we're going to take you back to 0072U ballot items. And that's item 81, that's code 0072U. Although the slide deck says the crosswalk of 0031U, do not pay attention to that. So please vote. Your choices are 81238 or gap fill, and this is for code 0072U. All right, we're going to go on to the next code, which is item 82. It's 0073U, and this is Subcommittee A, Dr. Bossler.
Based on our current conversation, our crosswalk recommendation would be 81238.
Do we have any questions from those on the phone in the room? So for code 0073U, your ballot item would be 81238 and gap fill. Please cast your vote. We're going to go on to the next code, which is item 83, code 0074U. And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler.
Our crosswalk recommendation is 81238.
Any questions from those on the phone? Hearing none. People in the room? Hearing none. For 0074U, your ballot item is only 81238 and gap fill. Going to the next code. We're going to do this in the next 2 minutes. It's item 840075U, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler.
Our recommendation is 81238 crosswalk.
Any questions from the room, on the phone? Your ballot item for 0075U is 81238 or gap fill. And we're going to do this last code, and I apologize to Dr. Rodensky. We're going to do this last code, which is item 850076U, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bossler, Subcommittee A.
Our crosswalk recommendation is 81238.
Do we have any questions from folks here on the floor? None. On the phone? Hearing none. The crosswalk, your ballot items for 0076U is 81238. And we're going to stop for an hour. And I ask that the panel members be back by at least 10 till so you can get logged back in if you need to, make sure the ballot system is working. And then for the audience as well, we're going to start sharply at 1, and from there, we'll probably have a very short break and then go on to the ATP discussion, which we anticipate should be very vigorous and full of questions from the panel. Thank you.